Cik. Diam. Cik. Bang. Coba tutup dulu audio clip on. Cik. Ah.
Dari saya keliling Sumatera, keliling Jawa itu Bu Grismi pada saat itu lonceng Toyota Kijang kapsul. Jadi 97.
Kedengaran. Kamu udah nyala ini? Itu udah datang? Om. Oh.
Ya, satu aja deh.
Oh.
Satu.
Om.
Buat bapaknya satu. Ya.
Masih clear balik ya. Cik.
Siling dua. Dah, ini buat bapak. Aman.
Nih bapak.
Belakang.
Iya pak, maaf ya. Bapak enaknya di sini. Saya masukin boleh?
Boleh.
Mana? Nggak apa-apa, nggak usah buka.
Yang tadi kurang keras.
Apa?
Yang tadi kurang keras suaranya.
Yang di sebelah. Oh siap.
Jadi orang pada sibuk sendiri. Makasih.
Langsung ke atas pak.
Ya?
Mau langsung ke atas?
Oh boleh.
Prof Piko.
Ayo, kita mainkan.
Mic-nya udah nyala ya pak? cik. Udah masuk. Aman. Aman masuk nggak situ? Hah? Aman. Cik, ya.
Kita buat itu ya moderator. Moderator berarti ya? Satu lagi.
Main segini dulu. Main dulu.
Iya.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, good morning and welcome to all of you to panel 2, a discussion on business sector solutions to ending multidimensional poverty. Thank you very much for being with us today here, to you who attend this event offline and also online. My name is Arif and I will be the moderator for this session. So a little bit overview of this session. This session will give an overview of how the private sector and programs which promote MSMEs can support multidimensional poverty alleviation, particularly in the midst of the pandemic. We know that MSMEs play a big role in maintaining the well-being of a lot of households in Indonesia. And of course, understanding what affects the MSMEs during the pandemic is really an important issue. So in this session, we will go through 3 speakers here. We have first Professor Rafika Rohim, who is a professor at the Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Indonesia and also the Vice Commissioner of Bank Rakyat Indonesia. And then we also have Bapak Tony Sumartono, who is the advisor of Yayasan Dharma Bakti Astra, and also Dr. Anafas from Wise Responder, Oxford University. So first, we will ask Professor Rafika Rohim about the role of financial sector in helping the MSMEs in surviving the pandemic. And then afterwards, we look at the experience of Astra's Yayasan Dharma Bakti Astra, or YDBA. And then afterwards, we will turn to the experiences across other parts of the world from Dr. Anafas from the Wise Responder. So I think without further ado, we can start this session. So I will give several questions first to the speakers here. We'll start with Professor Rafika Rohim, and each of you will have approximately 20 minutes in responding to the question. So to Professor Rohim, let me start with 2 basic questions here. So we would like to know what is the role of MSMEs in maintaining welfare in the midst of the pandemic, and how has the pandemic impacted this sector, and what are the key policy messages the government needs to think about with regard to supporting MSMEs. So the floor is yours, please, Professor Rahim.
Thank you, Pak Arif. Good noon, everyone. So my microphone is okay. So good noon, everyone. So I will share with you my experience when I'm doing research about MSME, and also when I make many program in Bank Rakyat Indonesia, which is the biggest bank in the world, I think, that channeling the money for the MSME. I will start with understanding about the poor. As we know that if we talk about in the financial industry, when people about who is the poor, and like Yunus said, Yunus previously he also worked for 5 years in Bank Rakyat Indonesia, and then finally he said that why people being poor, because they cannot get channeling money from the financial institution, even though they already work hard, even use the physical task and with the full of effort, but still they are poor. So the important thing is how we can channeling the money through the financial institution to help them to get the capital. Then there are many categories of MSME in terms of entrepreneurs. First is poor entrepreneurs. Basically, they're trying to do work hard, but the result cannot reach above a minimum for their well-being. So they already work hard, but it's difficult to reach. Even only for food for 3 days is difficult for them. Then poor workers, they work hard. They also get a benefit from social assistance from the governments or from the neighbors or from the state-owned enterprise or from the private sector, but still it is not sufficient to meet the minimum level of well-being, because they have they need much resources, not only for food but also for education and also for the health. Then unemployed. This is unique. Why? Because this is a kind of poor people. They work together with not only with the family, but they also employ surrounding area such as the neighbors, and then they can help each other. Then they can create a job for them, even it's only for small job. Then household members dependent on poor workers. It means this is the category that all the family members, not only the young people or, for instance, for wife and husband, but also for the grandpa, for the grandma, they work together. Why they work together? To help each other, to get the money to sufficient to pay a daily life, education, and also healthiness, and even also the recreation, something like that. Then the last is poor consumers who purchase from small enterprises. Is it a peers group, a part of a small medium enterprise, mainly is ultra micro, that they make a cluster, they live together, and then each person, they sell a different product, and then they buy each other, so they help each other. So with the different product, so it can create a new economy for this cluster. And there are many, because we have a program with one of the state-owned enterprise. It's called Mekar, which is we help some of ibu-ibu in the city and also the village, and then we make a program to channeling the money to help them to get the capital to offer the shop or to offer anything that they can do. Then people think there is an intergenerational poverty. It means that when we are born to be poor, and then we will be poor forever. Why? Because there is a poverty cycle paradox, which is poverty cycle paradox. It means in its dot, how can we solve the problem? For instance, with the low investment, then the low economic growth, then the low income. When the low income, there is the low education. When the low education, there is the low level of human capital. Then there is a low productivity, and then low income, low saving. Then again and again, this is a cycle. Yeah. Each people, when we born poor, there are a different thing to react with the situation. For instance, the experience for myself, Pak Arif. I was born in Central Java in Klaten. In Klaten, this is a small city, yeah, and my parents is only open shop, yeah. And then at the moment, I'm just thinking, Pak Tony, the good thing in order to me to solve my the problem of the poverty, so I have to get the good education. So I have to work hard to get education, and there is many scholarship that I can get. But I think it is not many people, they think like me, that knowledge to elevate, and how can to get the good education and to get the scholarship is not easy, but it can. So finally, and then so I got my PhD, and then I can teach in Universitas Indonesia. Otherwise, perhaps still in the circle. In the circle, it's difficult. So every people have a different experience how to elevate from the poor, how to make well-being not only in daily life but also in education and in health. Okay, next. I will tell you about the poverty index. It means that now in Indonesia, with MSME, this is good to solve to poverty affiliation. There are 64 million of MSME. You know, this is 99% of the total business in Indonesia, and they support 61% of the GDP and 97% of employee absorption. Then 16% of the export. I do believe Pak Tony will explain how can empowerment the MSME to contribute to our GDP and our export. But however, the development of MSME still face many difficulties, obstacles, mainly channeling the credit. The data show that the total MSME credit in Indonesia cannot exceed the peer. The peer, they already get 30% of the total credit. But in Indonesia, Alhamdulillah, in May, the total credit of MSME is more than 20%, 21%. But even though it's still below the peers is 30%. Then Governor Bank Indonesia and OJK and Indonesian government, we decide to ask the financial sector, mainly for the banking industry, to increase the channeling the UMKM or the MSME credit until 30%. Then suddenly all the banking industry, they don't agree with this regulation, because not all the bank, they have experience to channeling credit for MSME. So they need relaxation. 30% is for industry, not for the individual bank. So it's okay. Then if 30% for industry, it means Bank Rakyat Indonesia have to work hard, Pak, because we have to reach 30% of the industries. Another bank, they don't have any experience to channeling the credit from to MSME. Okay. Then, what about during pandemic? We do understand that in every crisis, MSME become the buffers, resilience, and they can recover quickly. But Corona pandemic is different. this is this hit completely the MSME. Why? Because they cannot move. They have to stay at home. They cannot open shop. They cannot go to the market. Then the banking industry, we are truly shocked. They cannot pay the debt, not only the interest but also the main credit. Then Alhamdulillah again, Indonesian Financial Service Authority launched the program, the regulation, that all the financial industry, they could doing the restructuring based on the effort of the MSME and the bank. So there is not one fits for all, because every bank have a different experience and every MSME different experience. Then finally, there are in May, MSME achieved 1,280 trillion, which is 39 million of MSME. This is above. So still there is a market. So above it is channeling credit not from the bank but from another financial institution, mainly from the loan shark. So this is our homework. How can we also offer the credit to compete or to war with the loan shark? Okay, then MSME restructuring now more almost 250 trillion rupiah to 3 million debtors, 3 million clients. So using the regulation from the OJK, then we can save our economy. And thanks God, our economy now, when we open the mobility, then now they can pay. Loan at risk is slowing down, so it is good for the financial industries to support the strengthening our financial institution and economic at the whole. Okay, then I will move to the next. What about the next? The next is mean that when banking or industrial financial channeling the credit, now they not only think about the profit, but they also maintaining the creating share value. Why? Because the goals not only to maximizing profit, but to get the well-being, to get the welfare. Lucky me, Pak Tony and everyone in this room, with Pak Arif, we doing research together to know is there any empathy or any effort of the MSME when they get the credit, they concern about environment, they concern about social activity, they concern about governance. And we doing the survey for 170,000 clients in BRI, and the result is very good, that the debtors acknowledge the importance of the loans in various aspects of corporate creating share value. Then we doing randomly to interview, is it true that you concern about CSV? Then they said, Bu, if we doing good in terms of our activity, then we will calm, we can also create another comfort to another person, and then we can create profit together. And we have to respect the environment, respect the social, and including like religion, like ethnic, etc., etc. So this is very good. That is why there is a changing perception between the CSR and the CSV. So, Pak Tony, I hope we can do together to enlarge this program to the state-owned enterprise, to the private sectors, that please, we have to move not only the CSR, but to go the CSV, so creating share value. This is important because this is good for the entire social. The benefit that she asked for the banking, that the bank can operate the same thing to another cluster or the same cluster to another location. So this is easy for the bank doing the copy paste this program. So then it can create healthy business ecosystem. It means can affect credit worthiness for the MSME, and then available of local suppliers, local aggregators, and also the human capital. So I do hope Pak Tony will explain about the local aggregator ya Pak ya, like Avalis that can buy all the product from the MSME. Okay, so SFE as alternative evaluation framework of microfinance. We already talked to the Minister of MSME. So please next to evaluate have to include creating share value. Okay, and now move. What about the role of the financial sector? It means BRI. So BRI last year we acquired PNM. PNM is one of the state-owned enterprise who channeling the credit for group of women without any collateral, only a social capital. And then also acquire Pegadaian, which is a pawn shop. Why? Because we want to create that from a group lending of women, they don't have anything, only use the social capital, they can get channeling the money. Then after they use the money to work, and then they can buy, for instance, handphone or television or stove or anything that they can do for open shop. Then if they don't have enough money, they can use this thing to go to the pawn shop to get the money. Then so before no collateral, and then they have a collateral. Then after the collateral, they have a limited collateral, they can get the subsidized credit from the government, and then finally they can get the commercial credit. So this is the role of the financial sector to help from the bottom of the pyramid, that they can do show any kind of collateral, only the social capital, they have collateral, and then they get channeling the subsidy credit, and then finally they can get commercial credit, and it will create new entrepreneurs in Indonesia. And we can monitor how many person from the no collateral have a collateral, and then to become big entrepreneurs. Okay, Pak Arif, I think it is enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Rafico. Please give a warm, very loud applause to Professor Rafico. So if I may summarize of your presentation, so it's very insightful, of course, for all of us. I think one of the new things that we can learn is about the concept of creating shared value. And then Professor Rafico has also demonstrated that collaboration between business sectors is really important. And also changing the perception for the business sectors from CSR-minded to CSV is also very important. But before that, of course, relating to the session this morning, it is also very important for us to understand what is actually the meaning of poverty. So Professor Rahim has explained about several definitions of poor entrepreneurs and so on, and we can see that they are very relevant for designing programs to alleviate poverty. And thank you very much for the presentation, Professor Rahim. Now we are moving to the second speaker, who is Mr. Tony Sumartono, Senior Advisor of Yayasan Dharma Bakti Astra, YDBA. Good afternoon, Bapak.
Yes.
So we have two questions for you as well. The first one will be, what is the role of private sector, such as YDBA, in supporting MSMEs in Indonesia in the midst of pandemic? And then how can the government support private sector efforts, such as those initiated and implemented by YDBA in promoting proper economic growth? So Bapak, please, you have approximately 20 minutes in responding to these questions. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Mas Arif, it's very glad for me, a very honor also for me to be the part of this very important event, because the UNIF of Indonesia and Stanford want to make a definition of the poverty and connect with the private sector. My presentation will be divided by two sectors. First is about ESR, Astra Environment Social Responsibility. This is under the Astra Group, and the chief is my friend over there, Mr. Riza, good note. So, and also my friend also, Ibu Ida from YDBA. So we are together here, want to share our experience during our job in this country. First slide maybe about a little bit about Astra International. Astra International already a long time ago, established in 1957, so almost more than 65 years. And then Astra have 7 group of business: automotive, financial services, heavy industry, agribusiness, infrastructure, information technology, and property. And the second slide, this is about the responsibility of Astra, share the wealth with the nation. This is the basic philosophy for us in Astra, because our founding fathers said to us, well, the first philosophy is that Astra to be an asset for the nation. It's long time ago. So with the group, we divided, and then we try to make a simple way. So we have a public contribution roadmap in this triangle, about the people, about the public contribution, and about the portfolio. The 3 of P should be together, hand in hand. And to translate the 3P roadmap, Astra has Astra Health, Astra Sehat, also Astra Green, Astra Hijau, Astra Smart, Astra Cerdas, and Astra Creative. And we have 9 foundations of Astra, and one of them is the place that I work, YDBA, so Yayasan Dharma Bhakti Astra. So YDBA is only part of the big picture about the foundation. And the third slide, still about ESR. So the ESR, Environment Social Responsibility, has 3 flagship program. What is Satu Indonesia Award, and then second is Kampung Berseri Astra, and then third is Desa Sejahtera Astra. Kampung Berseri Astra is a village that prepared by the Astra to make a commodity development program that integrated the 4 pillars of Astra sustainable social contribution program in one village community. So this is also the second is Desa Sejahtera Astra is foster village program focusing on entrepreneurship development. It's a little different that first is KBA or Kampung Berseri Astra about the basic kampung, the kampung very healthy. After that, some kampung collect together, we develop the economic ecosystem. So the problem is how to maintain the KBA and the SA, because we need the people, the local heroes or local leader to maintain this this activity day to day. for the long time area. So Astra need make a kind of activity, we call it Satu Indonesia Award. In this activity, Astra want to try to seek and then to looking for the new champion. So the award did with this award try to give the job or the activity in the KBA and the DSA. So the basic of that. Right now, the second part of our votation about the YDBA. This is the to answer the second question that Pak Arif asked to me there. In this presentation, YDBA is already 42 years old. So it's all before the nation talking about SMEs, so the Astra YDBA also over there. So YDBA first, maybe the first 20 years, YDBA only working for the vendor, Astra vendor who send the part to the motorcycle manufacturer. After that, after 2005, we try to expand the facility to the non-related business Astra, which is some handicraft, agriculture, and then also culinary, and also one part I forgot. Without that, agriculture, handicraft, and that area. The method of the YDBA is actually we have training, marketing, financing, self-assessment, and then we try to lead to the very targeted program. So the spirit of YDBA is nurturing and developing. So to be close and related to the SMEs, we create the business development agency. Maybe the next step. We have 13 BDA around the Indonesia, from West Java until Nusa Tenggara, and also to the north we have this Kalimantan. Back to the slide before. Yeah, we are to try to explain about the mechanism of the ecosystem. YDBA, Astra, and SME. This is the triangle. So we have right now around 12,000 members, but focus in the almost 2,000 in this area and this program. So the basic of to help the SME is to be close day to day in their activity. So we need a BDA. BDA is only 2 or 3 people who closely doing that business in that area, the 13 area. And then in this case, Astra will give also support in supply chains, like Ibu Rofiko said, that after we help the SMEs, they create the product, and Astra will buy the product with a good quality QCD standard. So the circle is YDBA try to help the SMEs the quality, also the cost and the delivery, and Astra will buy that product. So the circle can be close and fulfill very, very good, something like that. So also we try to make a network. This is also very important, that if we're dealing with the non-Astra business, we should make a network with other ministry. In this case, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Cooperation, also Ministry of Industry. We are close together. Maybe right now, maybe with the BRI, with the same data, we can go together to help the SME more quickly and more targeted, something like that. Also, why do we have some kind of infrastructure? In this case, we have ecosystem digital. Yeah, we have with the website. Yeah, with the make a blog, also with kind of integrated information system. Also, we have a gallery. Yeah, to make a kind a shop for the SMEs. Also, we have resource person. This is very important. So we have many kind of expert whenever the SMEs need some kind of information coming from the Astra executive, coming from the AXA employees, coming from the retirees, also young empowerment. So this close, very simple ecosystem make the SMEs can doing that business very in a good way, because the spirit of YDB is we are not giving a fish, we are giving the fishing rod, something like that. So that's the tagline of our job. So the next slide, and the other one. So this is a kind of example that YDBA try to make a collaboration with some group in Astra, and in this example, YDBA collaboration with Astra Honda Motor, yeah. And then with the first tier, we have a 4 here, 4 company, and right now give the purchase order to the 9, maybe not 3, 4, around 15 YDA SMEs, with the total order more than 51 billion rupiah. It's quite good for the SMEs to get that kind of money. And the next slide. This is also the example that we have a 3 already good, and the 3 program. One is in Lebak, Banten. We try to help the farmer over there with jahe merah or red ginger. Before, this part very poor, and then no one who will buy the product. So we connect with the Kalbe Pharma, yeah, Bintang 7, and then during this 1.5 years, it already can send the product to Bintang 7. And then with the contract, with a good price, and then with the good quality. Second, in Banyumas, we dealing with the blacksmith, very traditional, and then like Ibu Rofika said, but right now our BDA over there help him to create the many new experience. Right now, they can make a culinary knife, yeah, for the chef. So right now can sell to some restaurant. Then the price before below the 150,000 rupiah, right now can sell almost 500,000 rupiah. So the income is jump very good. And the third is about the pan, cook pan. This is very interesting also. This is in the Tarikolot in Citerup. Before only maybe 5 million rupiah a week, right now can be almost 25 million rupiah a week. So the income is growing very rapidly. The last slide, this is ongoing collaboration with the Cement Indonesian Group, and then Pusat Investasi Pemerintah. This is the company under the Ministry of Finance. The SIG give us the SMEs under the YDBA around 70 products. Before they buy from abroad, so they pay by dollar. Right now, give the order to the SMEs. And the second, PIP, we are collaboration to help the farmer in Cipanas, Bogor, to do the very good market. This is organic market. I think, and this is, the program is in 3 years. Hopefully, some other big company can make a collaboration with YDBA or with BRI to help the SMEs, give a good education and a good order and buy it. Maybe this our presentation maybe will help some audience, some picture of YDBA job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sumartono, for the very insightful information about the role of YDBA in building ecosystem to the MSMEs. I think one of the key takeaways that we can take is that in supporting the MSMEs, it is not only about providing direct benefit to the MSMEs, but also to build an ecosystem that can last longer. Okay, so thank you very much for the presentation once again, Mr. Sumartono. Now we're moving to the third speaker who is joining us online, Dr. Anna Fass. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly here. So just a little bit of introduction once again. So Dr. Anna Fass is the Chief Research Officer at WISE Responder. Okay, and then Dr. Fass, we have 3 questions for you. So the first one, of course, we would like to know more about WISE Responder. So can you tell us more about WISE Responder? And then secondly, how can WISE Responder support the private sector in maintaining multidimensional well-being for company employees? And how may WISE Responder's methods to be useful for poverty alleviation policies? So you have approximately 20 minutes in responding to these questions. And the floor is yours, Dr. Fass, please.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would really like to thank the organizers for the invitation. It's a true pleasure to participate in this conversation and be able to share a little bit about the work we do at WISE Responder. Going to the first slide, should I share or it's shared there? Yes. Can we move to the next one? So a little bit of the motivation for our work. So in the present context, where the international community is calling up on the private sector to engage, contribute to achieving the sustainable development goals, where investors are making their decisions more and more based on environment, social, and governance factors, and also where consumers themselves are becoming more mindful of the impact of their purchases, the private sector companies are under an increasing pressure to promote sustainable development. We believe that this increasing engagement of the private sector in social issues will extend also to reduce poverty, multidimensional poverty, to tackle poverty. WISE Responder, our mission is to provide companies and also investors with tools to engage in reducing multidimensional poverty. Could we go to that? I would like to give a little bit of background. So what was the story that brings us here to WISE Responder? So all began with the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, the research center within the University of Oxford, one of the organizers of this event, that was created with the purpose of producing poverty research that would lead to action. So not just the academic discussion, but that would actually inform policy. Then another milestone was in 2010, OPHI, this research center, together with UNDP, they launched the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index. This is an international comparable measure of multidimensional poverty that covers developing countries. This was the first application of the method developed by Sabine Alkire and James Foster to capture multidimensional poverty. This measure also showcased some of the properties that make this type of methodology very useful to inform policy, namely the breakdown by indicators. So there is not just a summary measure, but there is a breakdown. You can understand how people are poor, and also the decomposition by subgroups, so one can focus on the groups that are in worse situations. And maybe because of that, after this, several countries adopted the same methodology, but adjusted it to their own context and their own policy priorities. Now, stepping forward some years, we are still in the other slide, but it's just in the timeline, going to 2015, Costa Rica launched their national MPI. And OPHI and the government were involved in developing this measure. I'm still in the timeline, sorry, the previous slide. Thank you. And so they launched the national MPI. And in development of the national MPI in Costa Rica was followed very closely by an association of a non-profit, but that was sponsored by the private sector, the Horizonte Positivo. And so the private sector was following closely this new measure. And when the results came out, one of the chairmen of one of the big banks asked, "Are there poor people among my employees?" That was the question that triggered the work that we do now. Was thinking that, like, there are poor people, am I employing poor people as well? And they did OPHI, together with Horizonte Positivo, developed the first pilot to measure multidimensional poverty among employees. And the results were a bit sobering. So more than 12% of the employees of the bank, white-collar employees, lived in households in poverty according to the Costa Rican measure. And so this was kind of a wake-up call. And in Costa Rica, Horizonte Positivo developed a work of supporting companies, measuring poverty among their employees, and then designing solutions to tackle the deprivations that they encounter. In 2019, and building on this experience, university and OPHI have spun out Sophia Oxford as an incubator of commercial applications of this methodology. The idea was taking this methodology where OPHI had been taken to the governments, but now take it to the private sector. And Sophia Oxford designed the first product, and it's the product that I'll be talking today, that it's based on the experience in Costa Rica. So the idea of supporting companies, understanding the lives of their employees, so they can better respond to their needs. And that was the Wise Responder Action Kit. And right now, Wise Responder is the company that is scaling up this initiative. And so that's the company that I'm representing today. Can we go to the next one? So what is the Wise Responder Action Kit? So think about companies, and we're here, the previous panelists already talking about Astra and what is done within the companies for social well-being. But most companies, even that don't have CSR programs, they have HR programs targeting the well-being of their employees. But there are two big issues here. One, first is often companies don't know what the employees need. They don't know much about the life of the employees outside of work. They know how much they pay them, but they don't know how many people are depending on that salary. They don't know if the household has children, and if these children are going to school. They don't know if the household has sick people, and if these sick people are having care. So there's lots of things that the companies don't know. Second issue is companies, and it's not being cynical, but companies, when they do some social benefit, social program, they also like to get some recognition. Yes, it's just normal. But to get this recognition, it's necessary to measure impact. And this is something that is not yet done in a systematic way. And so what Wise Responder Action Kit comes to do is trying to fill in these gaps. So we provide companies with tools that allow them to better understand the lives of their employees and their families, then to use that information to improve the design and targeting of their programs, and then measure the impact of their programs. So in a way, what we are trying to do is to support companies manage better their programs, report better, and also, hopefully in the near future, be able to borrow better. I'll come to that at the end. And so the action kit itself has three components: a digital questionnaire and a platform, and this is what we call a measurement tool, and technical assistance. The measurement tool provides a 3D view of the lives of the employees to the company. It shows the deprivations, the problems they are facing, their needs. It assesses their level of debt, and this is coming from, we started in Latin America, and specifically with Costa Rica and Central America, indebtedness is a big problem. And discrimination. Discrimination in the sense of differences, systematic differences between groups. This product, the standard product, where we have a platform and a questionnaire where it's a turnkey product, is focused for now on measurement of poverty among employees, but we are expanding it to other stakeholders, being clients, suppliers, communities of interest. And in addition to this standard package, we also have projects of consultancy with the companies that don't want to join the platform or adopt our measurement, but they want to implement their own measurement systems. And so we work with them. One case is BBVA Microfinance Foundation, where they have 5 entities in Latin America of microcredit that to provide microcredit, and we work together to develop a measurement system to assess the level of multidimensional poverty among their clients. And the idea is to use this information to refine the design and the targeting of their existing programs. On another project, DOLE, also in Latin America with the 3 countries, they already have a process to collect very rich data. They have a database that annually they update on their employees. But what we are working with them is to analyze that data from a multidimensional perspective, so they are able to identify the people who are in the most vulnerable situation. But focusing now on the Wise Responder Action Kit and on their components. Right now, we are only offering this product in Latin America because the measurement is focused on that region. Can we go to the next slide? Is on the questionnaire, what we have. Next slide, please. Technical. So the questionnaire has 2 parts. A standard questionnaire that is implemented across all of our clients, and additional models. The standard questionnaire that they are the ones here in colors, it collects information on all these indicators that are practically all linked to some SDG. And then, by collecting information on the 4 first dimensions, we build a measure of multidimensional poverty that allows us to filter employees between the ones in full poverty, the most vulnerable situation, that are not achieving the minimum level of well-being, and the others. Our measure, our regional measure, was based on the national measures that existing in the region. Most countries in the region already have a national official measure. So based on the indicators that were already politically recognized as important, we adjusted the cutoffs and defined our own measure of poverty. In terms of the additional models, so when a client, when it starts a measurement, they can select up to between 1 to 3 models to avoid that the questionnaire is too long, and they normally pick topics where they have special interest. The most popular have been technology, so especially after the pandemic, the importance of the dependence on technology, companies want to know more about type of access and abilities technological abilities of employees and their families, and also mental health. And mental health is one also module that is different from all the others in the sense that it's anonymous. All the others are collected with name of the people, so the company or the two people of the company who have access to this information are able to identify specifically who are the people to certain programs. The mental health is the exception by the sensitive character of that information. Can we go to the next one? This questionnaire is applied via digitally. So each employee receives a link that is unique and gives them access to their own questionnaire opened in a browser. And these are examples in Spanish. Always there is a roadmap, and some questions are already pre-filled based on information that the company provides. And then the employee answers the questions about himself, but also about the other people in the household. Can we move to the next one? Then the platform, the way that it's the way that the company interacts with information. This is how they are able to manage the results and then target people, prioritize groups, and measure impact. Can we go to the next? In terms of, these are another example of what the results they can see in the platform. Then can we go to the next, because there is the technical assistance, which the first is training to build capacity and ownership within the company. So we want that this is not a one-off program, but that starts being replicated internally and independently. We have another unit to analyze the type of programs and skills and capacities that the company already has. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to optimize what they already have. And the third is the support in implementing the survey and analyzing the data. Can we go to the next? So this is, our coverage. We are focused on Latin America. We started a little bit more than a year ago. We are now in 8 countries. We have some partners. We are a small team, so we also work with partners that deliver the service in the technical assistance. And we are now negotiating in Brazil, so soon there should be more color in this graph. Can I go to the next? So what's next? The next 2 steps. First, we want to expand geographically. We started in Latin America, where multidimensional poverty is a familiar concept, where there was a predisposition for this type of work. But we want to expand globally, and that will mean define regional measures adequate to the companies. And the last one, we also, and I said, we want to support companies in borrowing better. What do I mean? There is sustainable investment is growing. So more and more investors are making decisions based in environment, social, and governance factors. Unfortunately, ESG data metrics, particularly social, they are not great. They are scarce, they are infrequent, they are not standardized, and they are often self-reported. The kind of data that we are generating with companies is based on the SDGs, is comparable, and is based on recognized standards and methodologies. So we think there is a potential here to use this information to inform investment decisions. And this idea is already been published. We have, at the beginning of this year, we published jointly with CP Global Research a report on eliminating poverty and the importance of multidimensional poverty. And that's where the first time our colleagues here advocated for the idea of sustainable linked bonds, sovereign sustainable linked bonds, where the targets of the bonds on which depends the condition of the borrowing would depend on an MPI. We think that something similar can then be done with companies. With companies that track MPI can then maybe obtain better conditions if they meet certain objectives. And this would be like a way of mobilizing investment towards tackling multidimensional poverty. Thank you very much. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay. Thank you very much, and please give a round of applause to Dr. Anna Vaz from Voice Responder. So, you all can see that we have 3 speakers with very rich backgrounds, and then we have seen each of their perspective regarding the issue of the role of business in MSME's development, particularly in the post-pandemic era. So now we would like to open a question and answer session. So I would like to invite the attendees here who are offline with us in Mandarin Oriental. If you have any question to the speakers, please, if you can mention your name and then your institution, and also if the question is addressed specifically to one of the speakers. As well, our committee will also monitor questions from the online participants that will be communicated to me, and then I will communicate to the speakers. So if there is any question from the attendees here who attend with us offline, you can raise your hand, and then we have one of the committees will distribute the mic. Any question?
Always clear.
Oh, I believe that everything is basically clear. I think all of the presentations are very inspiring as well, and provide a lot of information from different perspectives for all of us. But of course, if there's any question, or if there's any question online, if I can monitor, wait, because I need to check. Okay, so we have, so while waiting for the question from here, we have one question to Pak Tony, to Mr. Sumartono. So the question is, to what extent the Astra International might engage with Indonesian researchers or think tanks in using multidimensional approach to monitor and evaluate the impact of your program? And because you have several programs, if we see, so you have Desa Bersama Astra and so on. So basically in monitoring the effectiveness or the achievement of the programs, to what extent it is maybe applicable to use the multidimensional poverty approach. So Pak Tony, please.
Thank you. I forgot to mention before that actually Desa Sejahtera, Kampung Berseri Astra and Desa Sejahtera Astra is quite maybe more than 10 years ago. So Kampung Berseri Astra already 133 kampung. Yes, it's quite a lot. After that, we are also surprised during these 4 years, from 100 Desa Sejahtera Astra, right now, Pak Reza make it happen 930. The target is 3,000. So that 3,000 is quite high, Pak Reza. But that's spirit of Astra. We have to make a lot and a lot again. This is a challenge for us. So many, and in my foundation, actually, right now 12,000 is including the participant in webinar, but 1,980 is under my control, because YDBA is one by one mentoring, so we go to direct to the workshop, and then we train them with the 5R or 5R. This is a basic foundation for the manufacturer. So very hard to make them. Before Ibu Rofika whispering to me, Pak Tony, how about the where's the Tegal?
Tegal and Ceper.
Oh, Ceper. Ceper is also our client long time ago. The problem still there, because it's very complex, very challenging. We try to make go there again. Before Bu Rufiko, not only about the iron, and also about the tenun, right? Tenun. So Ibu Ida, Pak Ibu Rufiko will join program with us. I think we very happy. So maybe Pak Reza can help me about the research, about the research, but I'm not sure about. I think Astra also give some scholarship, right, and then some project to some university maybe. But for maybe Pak Reza, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I know we don't have any collaboration with researchers, but we have to make monitoring and measurement.
Yeah, in Desa and Kampung Berseri Astra, we have criteria, 5 categories that we can see the progress about the activity related to Desa and Kampung. And especially at Desa Sejahtera Astra, we focus on entrepreneur. We not only give money, but first step is training for the local champion or local people, and the second is make like institution, like co-ops or maybe small and medium enterprise organization, or maybe in some desa they call BUMDes. And the third step is we make like marketing socialization to organization, and the fourth step is we give money, and the last one is like a continuous improvement. That step we check every month, and then we give criteria, and maybe next time we can collaboration with University of Indonesia to check the progress. That's my question. Thank you.
I want to make one additional information that between among the 930 desa sejahtera Astra, we take around 80 business to go to the YDBA. We continue with a very specific and targeted helping to make them very in high quality again. Maybe that's my question. My answer.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pak Tony and Pak Riza, for the response to the question. I don't know who is the name of the person who provided the question, but I hope that all of the explanations provide answers to your questions. Maybe because now it's already 12:30, and actually we are a little bit behind of the schedule. Is there any maybe one last question that, okay, so we have one from here, from the gentleman here. Please, okay, and we have two. So we have two maybe short questions. Please mention your name, your institution, and to the address of the questions.
Hello, my name is Ken, and I'm a Jardine Scholar from the University of Oxford. So my question is for Professor Rofiko. So you mentioned about MSMEs having financial access to finances by increasing interest rates. What do you think about the potential of the unbanked? Because I think recent studies from the World Bank shows around 51% of the adults in Indonesia are unbanked or underbanked. So what do you think of the potential of this market, and what are steps to give the unbanked access to finances? Thank you.
Okay. And then we can move on first to the second question, and then afterwards maybe we can have the response. Yes.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Asri Yusrina. I'm from Semeru, and I would like to ask the questions to Anna. What are the challenges in engaging the companies to participate in the WISE responder, and what type of companies involved in the WISE responders? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Asri and Pak Ken. So we have two questions. So one for Professor Rohim, and the other one is for Anna. So Professor Rohim, if you would like to take the question on the potential of the unbanked. Okay. I believe that you have a lot of research about this.
Okay. Thank you, Ken. So there is a huge potential of the unbanked or underserved people. That is why last year BRI acquired PNM, which is Permodalan Nasional Madani. Then channeling the credit, it's called Mekar. Mekar is for ibu-ibu. For ibu-ibu, they have to make a group 10 until 20 in each group, and endorsed by the RT or RW. Then they make a group, and then they ask channeling a credit from 1 million until 3 million. Then, after channeling the credit, there is a grace period for 2 weeks. No need to pay the credit. Why? Because they will use the credit to buy something, to sell something, yeah, for 2 weeks. And then they have to pay weekly is 50 rupiah. So each weekly they have to meet in the same place, in the same time, and the same even in this we have when you, right now you sit down here, then we have to meet next week. So you have to sit down in the same places. Why like this? Because we want to teach them discipline in terms of time, in terms of places. Still, before client when they meet together, then we start with the praying together. Thank to God that there are some institutional company that they help us to get the credit, and this credit will use for the productive activity to help the family. This is clearly mentioned in the praying. This is to stressing the empathy, stressing that this is the money is credit, then you have to pay back. Using the approach of the discipline, the NPL is almost zero. And right now, Mekar we already channel 1,032 trillion rupiah for 12 million clients, all of ibu-ibu. And then there is a research why we choose ibu-ibu, because ibu-ibu is not only multitasking. When we have money, it's not for herself, but for the entire family. Yeah. And there is another students now in Bangladesh. After the ibu-ibu become independent, and then they're trying to leave the husband, because they already can get the money from themselves. So this is also a quite interesting research we're trying to do also in Indonesia. Another thing, again with Pak Arif, we also make a criteria before and after they get channeling the credit about the well-being. So the title is Do Microfinance Increase Well-being? So we calculate before they get the channeling the credit. For instance, every day they only eat 1 time. Then after get the credit, they can eat 2 times. Before they only eat with the rice and soya, tempe, and then after they get credit, they can eat with soya, with the egg, with the meat, and then we also work with one of the foundation, Yayasan Cinta Anak Bangsa. There is a special credit for the underbank, for the underbank, that we will give you the channeling credit without any collateral, but there is obligation for you to entering your children to go to the school. If your children don't want to go to the normal school or the public school, you can go to our school. So we create school ourselves, but mainly for a practical school. For instance, they want to be a apa namanya ini salon. They want to be a capster. They want to be a waiters. They want to be a mechanical. So we have several specialization, and we work together with the private sectors in order after they finish to get the certificate, they can work directly. So this is many huge potential for them. And for the underserved, they never think about the interest. They only think, how can I pay? And if I can pay, then this is good for me. So they never think about the interest rate. And this is still potential. That is why not only the state-owned enterprise, Minister of Finance also create the ultra micro, and with the different area, different cluster, but we work together in order to make them independent and then create a job. And of course, poverty affiliation. Thank you, Pak Arif.
Thank you very much, Professor Rahim, for the response. Maybe we can go to the second question, well, actually the third question, to Dr. Fast by Bu Asri. It's about challenges in involving businesses in implementing the a multidimensional poverty measurement, more or less. So, Dr. Fast, please.
Thank you, Asri, for the question. It's a very good question. And I must say that we start providing this service in March 2021, so the experience is still relatively limited. And we started in Latin America, where I don't know how if it will be the experience there will be replicated. But challenges. First is a change of paradigm. So the first reaction, people, when we talk, and we change our narrative, because if we use the word poverty, it's too much of a stigma, and companies say, no, there are no poverty among my employers. And so, which is not true, but also it's something that the companies also don't want to use that terminology, so we talk about well-being and achieving minimum well-being. But that is the first, the paradigm. The second, that it's also prefaced, it is privacy data. So data is a sensitive thing, and we are implementing it, making personal questions, and we are storing this information. We are using a very secure platform, but there is some companies that feel uncomfortable about this type of having this type of data. And one of the, or having it in a third-party storage facility. And so, for instance, though the way that we have now a consultancy, that was one of the motivations. They didn't want to adopt a third-party platform. They wanted to keep it on their own servers. And then, unfortunately, we still have a bit of price. So we are still working to improve our price so we can also go reach smaller companies, because when you also ask me about type of companies that so far we have, they tend to be medium to bigger companies. They are companies already socially inclined, especially our first clients were already companies, they are very sophisticated social programs. So they were pioneers because they had already did something similar and they saw the potential on it. And so most of our companies are clearly, I think, on the front of social programs. Some are a bit concerned of brand recognition, so it's something that they see as a plus to their brand. In terms of industries, right now there is not a specific focus, so we have a couple of agricultural companies, we have several services, banks, insurance, we have even a pharmaceutical, and we have retailers. And the retailers, I think, this is that it's the ones that are a bit more brand conscious, so retailers of beverages and food. So this is what I have so far based on our experience. I don't know how it will be once we move to a different region where this type of concept is even less familiar.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Fast, for responding to the question. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with Wise Responder, of course. Because of the time limitation, and I don't want to keep you too long before lunch, of course, but please once again give a round of applause for all of our three speakers here, Professor Rafika Rohim, Mr. Tony Sumartono, and Dr. Anna Fast. So, so there are some key takeaways that we can take from these presentations. So the first one, of course, collaboration across sector is very important to provide a comprehensive and also a long-term solution for MSMEs development, which eventually can lead to poverty alleviation. Designing solutions to the poor, of course, before that we need to understand about who are the poor, about the definition of the poor, and I think this relates a lot with the discussion this morning regarding the multidimensional poverty measurement. And there is always a potential collaboration in the future across the sectors. So thank you very much once again for attending this session. And then I think afterwards we can all have lunch, and then the session will start again at 1:30 if I'm not mistaken. So thank you very much once again for being with us together this afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.